Hi again folks, here we are yet again, and yes, it's another Heljan model. Oh my word. Yeah, this is a Heljan Park Royal Railbus that was sent to me by Neil along with the Class 16. Yeah, so when he asked me if I'd be interested in not one but two Heljan models, I was well, a little bit perturbed initially, to be quite honest. It's a wee bit daunting having never looked at one before and then being asked to look at two. Anyway, this is actually right at home here on my layout because the destinations are Kilmarnock and Dalmington, which are towns in Ayrshire here in Scotland. Other side of the country from me, but nevertheless still very apt for my little layout. But it doesn't run. Neil said it ran for a bit and then died, but unlike the Class 16 it didn't start smoking or smelling, so that's something anyway. Let's turn on the power, and yeah, just like the Class 16 the lights are working but it ain't moving, so I'm guessing it's another dead motor, but we'll just have to shove it into the shed and see if we can take it to bits and sort it out. So let's get a look at this. It's a nice thing, this. I like rail buses and rail cars and DMUs and other such things. I know they're not everybody's cup of tea, but I like them, and I think this is really cool. So I have the instructions for this, but they're not really very helpful. It's really just a parts list. So it looks like it clips on. There's little spaces there, and there for that look like clips. There's screws here for which I think would release the wheels, get access to the gears and stuff possibly. What happens? Oh yeah, I can see the clips. Right, 4 clips on a very tight body. I'm going to need some helping hands here, so I've got some cocktail sticks. Right, so if I open that up, can I get a cocktail stick in there? Yep. Just go round it. And the cocktail sticks will keep the clips open. Right. Dearie me. It's going. There we are. Oh, that wasn't too bad. Ooh, little bits of paper. Who did they come from? All right, they must be in front of the lights, I think. Right, so the PCB is at the top there. No sign of any burning, and the chip blanking plate is underneath. And again, that's all absolutely fine by the looks of it. The motor is it must be in here. And I'm seeing screws on the interior here, and there's screws on the top there. Take a screwdriver to these 4 screws. And does this just lift off? Yes, it does. So the wiring loom is down the side here. Pull that out. And that should then go down there. Right, okay, on this interior we've got 1, 2, 3 screws. So fingers crossed, when I remove this, I'll see the motor. And no, I don't. I see 4 more screws and something else to remove. So I have 4 screws here to remove. I think that is then going to drop the chassis. Right, so this is connected. Jinx. Okay, I can see the motor. Right, I'm going to have to lift these wires out. Okay, I'll try and turn this around so you can see what I'm seeing here. So there's the motor. The flywheels are geared. This has actually come out of position, and there's wire pickups on each wheel, which are very reminiscent of my guitar string pickups. They'll need a good clean actually. So we need to get this motor out, and to do that I'm going to have to disconnect the circuit board to get to disconnect the motor. Okay, so I think having to disconnect the wires to the motor and having to feed it through everything is just going to be too much of a nightmare. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift the motor out and desolder the wires for the connect to the motor. It'll be easier just to resolder them back on than try and reroute all those wires. So let's just see if we can lift this motor out. Because unlike on the Class 16, in Class 16 the wires were just loose and just went straight up from the motor into the circuit board. But with this, they're all tied to other wires and routed through little channels and little bearing come off at the end there. Take this one off as well. I might just have to strip the insulation off so I can desolder. Scalpel. I'm guessing this insulation's been put on because those wires are going to be very close to this metal chassis. That's the red wire off, and the black wire is actually broken. That's interesting. Maybe the motor's okay, maybe it's just a broken wire. That would be very fortunate. And let's have a look at this motor. We'll get these O-rings off. It's exactly the same motor as the Class 16 one, but very different. Flywheels, obviously, these are geared. Yeah, so these will be interesting to get off. Right, okay, let's see if this motor works. Does it spin? Yes, it does, but it smokes. Okay, so the motor span there, but it smoked. Yeah, it stinks of burning. So, and that was just a very little bit of power. So, nope, the motor's no good. I suspect one or more of the windings has burnt out. So we will replace it, but we'll need to get these things off. So it's going to be very important to take a measurement of the distance between the end of the motor and the flywheel. 2.5 millimeters. Okay, so I've taken the measurement of the gap between the flywheel and the motor. So when we put them onto the new motor, it'll hopefully be fine. Yeah, we're going to get this off. I've got a horrible feeling that these bits here are not in the armature shaft. Oh, jings. That being the case, how the devil do you get these off? Okay, so after some head scratching and experimentation and faffing and fiddling and some more head scratching, I've got this one of the fly gears off. I mean, it's a crazy design, you know, having something that pushes onto the armature shaft like that. You can't pull it, and how I'm going to get them back onto the new motor, I'm not sure. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But yeah, you know, you can't use a normal puller. Even if I had one that fitted this, it wouldn't work, because you could end up bending, you know, this little shaft on the fly gear. But what I've ended up doing was, when I got this little puller, I also got this one with it. Now obviously this was too big to use, but I thought, well, what if we slot that in there like that? Will that worm gear fit inside the threaded part of this puller? And it does, so I can clamp it right down, which is just pure luck. So I can clamp the fly gear right down, and then get a screwdriver either side behind the motor, and it should hopefully this is how I got the other one off. There we go. So there we go. There's my fly gears off, ready for fitting to the new motor, when it comes. I maybe should have made working on these two Hellions a two-part video to Heljan back parts 1 and 2. Okay, I've got my replacement motor. I've just popped one of the gears on one end, and I'll just pop this one on. Now when I did this with the Class 16, I used this little clamp to put the motor in, and just wind it to push the flywheels on, but these are much longer because they've got those shafts for the bearings. It doesn't fit in this clamp because, you know, as I said with the Class 16, you can't just stick that in a vise and squeeze it together. You risk bending the armature shaft. So I'm going to put this on a tile so it's nice and flat. The only clamp I've got at the moment I think I can do this with it is this thing. I mean, yeah, this is way too big. I could do with some smaller clamps, but I think this will do. So keeping it flat in the tile, we'll just squish this clamp together. And this should squeeze those gears on, I think. Getting there. Okay, this is too big an unwieldy for the job really, but it's got it on, sort of. I think it's got it on enough that I can pop it into this. Yes, it has. Right. Now, even this isn't ideal because I'm pushing those the shafts for the bearings, but I really don't see what else I can do. And are we in the ballpark? I'm just going to pop this in there. Well, it sits in okay. Does that turn the wheels? Yes, it does. Okay, so stripping these tiny little fine wires, you can't really use a wire strip, at least not the one I use. Because it just cuts the wire. Okay, let's see if we can get a spot of solder in this black wire terminal. Black wire on. Is that on? I think so. Let's see if this actually works. Yes, it does. Not damaged anything there. I just wanted to make sure that that was picking up from the wheels to the motor, which it appears to be doing. Let's get these O-rings on, and I may have to insulate these terminals on the motor there. They were insulated and I can see why. I don't think these O-rings really hold the motor in place. They're kind of vibration dampers, I would maybe call them. Okay, I was trying to put some black insulating tape on around that terminal there, but nah, it's not going to work. So I've put a tiny little piece of heat shrink, but because I'm putting it on after I've fitted the wire, I've split the heat shrink and kind of slid it on and heated it up with the soldering iron. I don't want to introduce a flame in there, so I'll try and do the same with the black wire. Just melt the heat shrink around the terminal. Right, I think that should do it. Okay, so we'll refit these little bearings. That one on there, that one on there. And let's see if we can get this motor into its final position. Okay, right. I'll need to clean these wheels while I've got this in this state of disassembly. There's quite a lot of crap on them, so I'm just going to give them a quick blast with it. Contact cleaner. I guess we have to get some fresh oil. There's plenty of grease in those gears, but we'll get some oil in there. And then we'll try to feed everything back through. All these little wires have to be tucked into their little grooves. You're probably not going to be able to see much of this because I'm going to have to do it this way around. Is that it? Kind of looks like it. Okie dokie. Well, the wheels are engaging. Do you know, we could stick this on the test track. Okay, I just want to see if this moves. Yay! Okay, I think we're going to win. We've just got to get this thing back together. Right, hang on. I think I've got this upside down for a kickoff, but come on, get round there. You've got to go round there. That's going to have to be round there as well. Just behave yourselves, you lot. You've all got to go up the same place whether you like it or not. Right, you're going round there. Do you know, I've done some fiddly nonsense in my time, but this is right up there. So the next job is to get this back in place. And again, we're going to have to get all these little wires to behave themselves. Let's get that end screwed in. And then squish all the wires. Screw that in just to hold it in place. We've got to get this interior on. That's what we've got to do. And again, we've got to make sure these little wires are tucked just in the right place. Alright, okay. Now we can get that onto there. Right, how are we looking? That has to get routed up into there. Should just be a case of fitting this on. But we've got these little pieces of paper to go across the lights. So I wonder if I can just jam these in, because they're not stuck in any way. I guess these are acting as diffusers. Don't think it matters which way round this goes, it's pretty symmetrical. Right. I think we're good. It wasn't quite clipped in at the end there, but it is now. You're right, okay, let's put this back on the test track. How cool is that? Oof, that's quite a relief to get that done, I'll tell you. Right, okay, let's go and put this in the layout. Okay then, let's bring it out. So there we go, that's this Heljan Park Royal Railbus running again. Yeah, that was a real fiddle though, feeding all those little wires and figuring out how it all came apart, and you know, those geared flywheels just made it really difficult to swap the motor out. You know, there was no easy way to pull the fly gears, as I call them, off, or and getting them back on was probably harder. This doesn't really run as smooth and quiet as the Class 16, but I didn't really expect it to. You know, it's got a more conventional brass worm method of driving the gears, unlike the little drive shafts of the Class 16, but like the Class 16, that little motor is working quite hard to drive two sets of gears in such a weighty model. You know, so it really should be kept to slow speeds and short running sessions. But at least this doesn't have to pull a load, which is a big advantage. So yeah, I said at the start of this video that I really liked this thing and that it was you know, it was right at home in my layout. Well, in actual fact, this is its new home. Yes, Neil has very kindly offered this to me as payment for fixing the Class 16, and he was also the chap that sent me the Airfix 14XX. So he's given me the 3 fiddliest local repairs to date. So he's very kindly donated this railbus to me, and I'm hugely grateful. So I'm going to have some fun with this on my end-to-end using the shuttle, but you know, I think I might have a further fiddle around with it, as I think it should really be running a little smoother than it does. But I'll leave it for a bit though, as you know, as nice as these Hellions are, they're not models you want to take apart too often, believe me. So anyway, thanks very much again to Neil for this railbus. It's hugely appreciated, and thanks for sending me some very interesting, if challenging, locomotives to repair. If anyone else has any Heljan models needing repair, well, yeah, maybe, but not right now. Jeez, yeah, I just want to go back to some normality. So okay folks, we'll catch you later. I'm going to play with my railbus.